All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. As always, your host, Brandon, join my co-hosts, Nick and Dan. Gentlemen, we've got the Man City match review. It was quite an enjoyable day, I think, for the most part. Nick, how was the roller coaster ride?
It was super intense, man. I think you look at games like this as like mile markers in a season, and obviously feeling good coming off of Monday, not sure how the team's going to play because it's been so up and down week to week. And, I was just kind of in anticipation, I think, more than anything, of what was to come. And it was a real treat today. Real treat. Very, very proud of the way the team played. And we will get into why here in a little bit.
Well, no doubt about that. Dan, I mean, from your perspective, it was a big KO. Not so early for you, which was beneficial. I'm sure you were alert and ready for that one.
Well, it's hard not to be with the way this match unfolded, but I do agree with friend of the pod, Ollie Glanville. You might have to be whispering it. It's not maybe a shout at this point, but I do think it's a little like The Wire. It's a little Stringer Bell. You know the words I'm about to drop, Nick, because I see you smiling. I want you to get the word out. We back up.
We back up, baby.
Chelsea back up.
To 10th place, Dan. Very excited.
The trend line. The trend line. Come on.
Context is key. So look, it ended up being a balanced evening at the Bridge. We're going to jump into it because these three-word match reviews are guaranteed to be absolute bangers. Dan, tee us off here.
Well, Grizz with the three shoulder shrug emoji, which excellent use of emoji versus a word. Nicholas with the pride of London, the flag unfurled behind Cole Palmer post goal, which was another excellent one. Alex with a little bit of an Always Sunny type of one with the gang matures. You had Kate with the totally titillating tactics. Millhouse with the Palmer Express and a gif from the Polar Express with the ticket with Believe on it. That was very good. Beegs with It's Coal Outside. A little bit of the festive spirit there.
Baby, it's coal outside,
Yeah, you had Gabriel with the Exiled Citizens Excel. Tana with the Breathless Batshit Bonkers. Andrew with the Character Test, ? Passed. There's some good ones, some real good ones. The audience delivered, much like Chelsea did.
Well, no doubt about it, which was awesome. We had a lot going into this one. I put, for mine, Silva erupts Bridge when he scored. If there were a roof on the bridge, it would have been gone. Absolutely electric. The knee slide, the celebration meant so much. That was the moment for me where I was like, hey, punch for punch, let's go. Let's see if we got it. And it was a ton of fun. Nick, what about you?
Gotta pay tribute to the man. It's Cole's World.
Ooh, I like that one.
All right. Well, follow it up there, Dan.
Mood, groove, attitude.
Or mood grove attitude, whatever you prefer here in the script, Dan.
Look, I dropped an O. That's okay. I know what I meant.
It's a lot to get into. We're honestly just still riding the high as we record in the evening afterwards. But this is a great opportunity to remind you all, we appreciate you. And if you appreciate us, 5-star reviews on the pods, you know where to go, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, YouTube knocking on 30K. Do it for editor Jake. He is spending a lot of time helping us get that up and running. And that would be great. And last but not least, check out our Discord server. We're going to say that you can go directly through Discord now. Check it out. Link in the description. Much enjoyable banter during the game. Everybody writing the highs and lows together. You really, really enjoy it. And then I think lastly, we just talked about this too, Nick, but we're going to shut the shop down for a bit. So that people have about a couple weeks, about 8 days actually, to get over there, buy some last minute gifts for yourself. Let your significant other know that they are on the way and they don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, if you want to get over there, I think the 20th, we agreed, is the date that we're going to shut it down. So, we have some reasonably priced merch. We're not going to break your bank around the holidays. Hats, sweatshirts, tees, all that sort of good stuff. So head on over before the 20th, get your orders placed because we will shut it down until next year. So, important.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that it's not January 2nd, so it's a next year joke like we all did in school before holiday break.
See you next year.
Oh, man. And all right. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this one. Obviously, it was Chelsea hosting Manchester City this past Sunday, the 12th of November, in the Premier League at the Bridge. In case you missed this one, pause, go back and watch it and come back. It was a thriller. Chelsea 4, City 4. Look, Haaland with the penalty, assist Anthony Taylor, then Silva, assist from Gallagher, then Sterling, assist from James, and we're feeling good. But Akanji, right at the death for a halftime, gets a wide open header to take the lead, and then they double down, to draw. Then they double down with Haaland in the 47th minute. That was pretty much the nail in the coffin for me. But Jackson, quickest to pounce in the 67th minute. Rodri in the 86th minute with another terrible deflection. But Cole, cool as ice Palmer with a penalty against his former team in the 90th plus 5. You absolutely love it. Dan,
he's
teeing
as
up the
cold
question.
as ice.
Hey,
really into Sorry.
You're
My
good,
bad.
good. Best selling of the day, though. Obviously, I think my 3-word match probably gives mine away.
I think you're right, though. I do think, look, I know Nick is going to say the Cole Palmer one, and I'll let him get to that in a second. Thiago Silva is 39, one of the oldest goal scorers now in Premier League history. The fact that he got that knee slide, got the velocity on the knee slide, the distance that man covered, come on, it has to be the Thiago Silva knee slide goal for the goal celebration. Just inches past the Palmer one.
Cole Palmer did the Jordan Shrug equivalent of Balotelli's "Why Always Me" from back in the day. So I for cheek, which will come up in my shithouse moments today, I'm giving it to Cole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand why. The pressure on his shoulders was immense. But hey, we're going to go kick it over to you. You can get jacked with the Chelsea Fifth Stand highlights. Thank you to Chelsea for letting us use them. And if you haven't downloaded the app, go do it now. Over to you. All right, lineup time, Dan.
Quickly, can I just say before you dive in, which I know this is not our regular kind of flow here, Lee Parker, friend of the pod, the man was on fire on the stadium in stadium commentary today in goal cellies. He videoed himself. I would go over to his Instagram or his Twitter. He posted the videos where his, like, after Cole scores, the elation on his face and then the bellowing out of Cole Palmer. Excellent stuff. Well done. Just wanted to shout out Lee.
Oh, absolutely. He enjoyed himself a day, and deservedly so. All right, Dan, back to you, though, for the lineup, as Lee Parker announced earlier today.
Well, it was Bobbert Sanchez between the sticks because he was a little bit of Bob and a little bit of Robert, but it was Reece James, Axel Disasi, Thiago Silva, and Marco Correa as your back four. It was Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Conor Gallagher as your midfield grouping with Raheem Sterling, Cole Palmer, and Nico Jackson in attack. It's a really interesting sofa score, though. Did not put Anthony Taylor in the Manchester City colors on the right-hand side of the lineup. Very, very odd to me. Must have been an error on their part. Look, from a substitute perspective, we did see Malo Gusto, Mikhailo Mudryk, Leslie Ugochukwu, and Armando Broja all make appearances. It was Matson, Badiashile, Madueke, Matos, and Petrovic who did not make an appearance. Chelsea using 4 subs to only the 2 used by Pep Guardiola. Maybe a little bit of overthinking from Pepe G.
Well, he's never overthought something against us before, so that's pretty nice.
I mean, they've got a short bench. They've got 2 goalkeepers on there, which, you know, we've been in that situation knowing that it's not. But, I mean, outside of those 2 players, right, he had Mateus Nunes, who's shown well since coming from Wolves. But then you got Rico Lewis, number 82, Oscar Bob, number 52, and then Calvin Phillips, who I'm still not sure has made a City debut in the Premier League in his second season there. All jokes aside. So, you know, a little bit of a, you know, rich man's problems in that sense as they juggle their squad. Some of the top line stats here. Chelsea with 2.96 XG to City's 2.9. Very tight there. We had 45% of the possession. We had 17 shots with 9 on target. That's probably a record for this team this season. City
out shooting City too. Out shooting City.
City had
not
15.
just that we had enough.
Well, City had 10 on target. 2 out of every 3 shots is on target. That's tough. That is a
We had 9. It's only one less.
9 out of 17 percentage-wise versus 10 out of 15. That's all I'm throwing out there. We are just over 50%. They're at 67%. Math. Don't worry about it. It was a good day out. I'm just saying City are still clinical. That's it, right? No, nothing take away from Chelsea. We had 12 fouls to their 15, which was fun because we got cautioned 5 times to their 3. We had 5 big chances. Only 2 missed, and City had the exact same. So clearly each team were pouncing on their big chances, which was a bit of a surprise, I'd say. And then 6 saves for Sanchez, 5 for, I got to go back and double check. Ederson, I can't believe I forgot. Pictured him. But goals prevented, negative 0.28 to 0.02 for City. Not much in between them. Nick, anything stand out, or did you just black out during that?
No, even game of football is what that says. And like, sometimes the City stat line can be deceiving for how they play football. Sometimes it's exactly what it says. I think it was exactly what it said today. Both teams having it out. It's not easy to play against them. They play a very particular style of football. Not easy to have the ball against them. Not easy to get off shots against them. I think one of the more underrated aspects of City is their defensive record is incredibly good, despite what a lot of people think. And so the fact that Chelsea were able to attack them at will today, essentially playing one of our best offensive games of the season, is just testament to the way the team has evolved over the last couple of weeks. We remember Brentford. That wasn't the performance that we got today. So, really excited about that. And I think this is one of those games that the stats tell just as much of the story as the eye test.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. I would say the one random stat. Dan, did you dig this up or did we find this on social? Because I know a lot of people were asking. I know I retweeted Seb when he was saying 3 goals, and then it probably got even harder to find 4 goals.
Well, it was hundreds of days versus thousands of days when you look at the last time that a team scored 4 or more goals against Manchester City. 1,141. It was the 27th of September, 2020, when Leicester scored 5 goals. Manchester City scored 2. It was Jamie Vardy with 3 goals, 2 of which were pens. Madison and Tielemans scoring another penalty. So 3 penalties in total to make it happen, as Mahrez and Ake both scored for City. So, this is a very rare occurrence. And even though it was a draw, this feels a little bit more like the moral victory that you could take something from versus the Spurs performance that everybody loved, aka the media.
Yeah, not wrong. And then Nick, you got plenty of the NPET shithouse moment of the match. Is the Nick Verlaney patented eye test. What did the doctor see?
There was a lot in here. I am pleased to report that this was an ultra shithouse match, very deserving of the shithouse moment of the match. I have 4 main candidates, although if I miss something, please tweet us or send us a message, whatever. Palmer's celebration in front of the City fans was just top notch. I loved it. He also then tried to join their huddle on the free kick and was like, "Hey guys, don't mind little old me here, just seeing what's happening." Was ushered away by Holland, which is funny. Conor Gallagher, who I need to talk about at some point in this podcast, excellent today, all over the place. But his tackle on Rodri and then kind of tripping and falling over him was hilarious and probably wins my moment. But the one that really fired me up was, Kyle Walker, real physical guy, gets in the middle of some scrums, starts pushing around, starts shit-talking. We have Disasi, who is a large man who does not take any shit from anybody, let alone Kyle Walker, who almost, and I thought he was going to do the too short thing to him. It would have been an excellent move, and I would have really appreciated it. But the fact that we have an enforcer back there gives me a lot of joy. And, I thought on the day he was really good as well. So those are my 4 moments of the match. There have been many games this year where we haven't had one, so I feel like I can plug in 4 and it's going to average out.
That's fair. I mean, the one that I would call out, again, you say moments of the match, so I do think that kind of extends to the end of the match. This one was just over. I do think even though he apologized for it, Pochettino giving Anthony Taylor a little bit of the business has to be a part of this too.
It's because he apologized for it that it didn't quite make it for me. I think if he just would have stuck to his guns, I would have appreciated a little bit more. Like
you wanted to go full De Zerbi. 80% of English refs are terrible.
He's just trying to save himself a little bit of pocket change, I think, with the apology. So I understand why you'd say that, but yeah, I think it was the apology that kind of undid it for me. Because Taylor was terrible again. Go figure.
Yeah, well, a lot more to break down. I think we've teed this one up to be electric. So we're going to take a first ad break. When we get back, jumping into all of the goodness that was there. So thank you to the sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, quick hit. We got Matt Law coming up this week, most likely. We got the Thanksgiving mailbag coming up. It is the season for that. And a new one, Dan, you're doing Fact or Fiction with Sam, CFC Central. What in the world?
Well, it's not a new one. It's just bringing back something we only did once. So we're trying to make it happen. We're trying to make fetch happen in this type of podcast setting. And we're going to do it on Conor Gallagher because we did a Jorginho one previously because he was a little bit of a lightning rod player. We know Conor Gallagher has been, for the uninitiated, a little bit of a lightning rod player this season. But clearly, people are waking up now, and so it's just a bit of a chance to demystify. It's a chance to show people that the goodness there.
Well, good. Looking forward to that one. And obviously, we've got a lot going on. Continue to stay plugged into Blue Royalty as we count down, just depressingly, the end of Emma Hayes at Chelsea. Hopefully, just for now. Hopefully, there's a reunion tour at some point. So, a lot of content coming out of that group.
Yeah, they are. They're doing some awesome work, and they keep winning. They're top of the table. They usually have a slow start to the season. Not this year. Another 3-0 casual win. So here we go.
Absolutely. All right. So reacting to Chelsea's performance, we've got to kick it off with, is this the best performance since fill in the blank? I think for me, gentlemen, I put it in Discord. I was talking about the group this. The fact that we kind of came out, and to be fair, Anthony Taylor letting a lot go, but we stepped into City's personal space. We got physical with them, pushed them off the ball, made sure that, they knew we were going to kick them at every opportunity we can, a little bit of afties as the ball goes away, things like that. I started to feel like that was a Chelsea team that you didn't want to play because they were just going to make your life hell all day. So that's where I started to see nods to the previous guard that was there, where you didn't want to get close because whether it was Essien, whether it was Ballack, whether it was even Makelele, but N'Golo Kante and John Terry and these tough players, Nemanja Matic in midfield, right? You didn't want to go through there, and so you forced teams wide to try to stay away from you. And I think I was starting to get vibes of that and things like that, which was something we haven't seen in a long time. But I don't know. Nick, are you able to kind of pinpoint a specific performance? I know in the league we hadn't scored against City since Alonso in May of 2021.
Oh, God, that sucks. That really does suck. I think in the league, whereas the Arsenal game was a draw that felt like a loss, this is a draw that feels like a win, and I think that is something that is just mentally, it's the same points either way, but it is mentally easier to go into the next game, or in this case, the fucking international break for the 19th time this season already. Dear God, am I tired of those? I think for me, this would go back to Milan at home last year. It's the best it was the best that we played all of last year, so it's probably for me the thing that you'd compare it to. But against a really big team, in a big moment, 2 or 3 years maybe, Dan. I don't know. I think the way I'd sum this one up is just character and fight. Just never say die. Just, we're going to throw haymakers. You're going to throw haymakers. We'll see who's standing at the end.
I mean, if you're looking back at it, it's not a single match from last season. It's not anything in 2022, 2023 season. I think you actually have to go back to 21, 22. You might consider the Southampton 0 Chelsea 6 match. That was one of the last times we learned how to or knew how to score above 4 goals in a single match. There was a match that we went to, Nick, which was an away match, so not necessarily the same category, but Chelsea 3 Leeds 0. That would be a good example of another match that felt really good, kind of complete type of performance. And then maybe if you want to say like complete drubbing, you would go Chelsea 7, Norwich nothing in October of 2021. But like
I got it.
Those. Okay, you've got it. What is it?
It's Chelsea away at the Bernabeu, where we got knocked out of the Champions League.
Yeah. If you're going like Champions League 2, I was kind of trying to keep it to the league, but I also did not define it that way. But like, that is another example of a really good performance.
I'm just thinking like against a big team where we may not be the favorites to win it, and we come out and start just swinging away. Like it's, Gary Hayes, friend of the pod, texted me after, super pumped up. I'm sure he texted you guys too. Like there's just so much like pride right now in the way that this team played today. And it's like, you just wonder why it's taken so fucking long at some points over the last year and a half to get this sort of character, grit, fight, determination, and I just, if the team plays like this consistently, even if they lose, right, the fans can get behind that all day. It's the lifeless, concession of a stupid goal, the lifeless possession, passing it around, blah, 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 the not going in for tackles. That sort of stuff really bothers everybody. And again, like we didn't win this, but it feels like we did.
Yeah, it's definitely the sentiment has to be City fans have to be really upset they drew to 10th place Chelsea, whereas us Chelsea fans are like, hey, you know what? Add another big team to the list. We talked about we could not ever get a result. Now we've gotten results against all the big teams we played so far. I don't think we played United yet, if you want to consider them a big team. Obviously, we got to go up the table to a few others, but the confidence is absolutely growing. So if we go in a little bit to this one, right? I think, Dan, the way I look at it is we really went punch for punch with City, right? You were talking about the stats a little bit earlier that we had the same amount of big chances. But they only had one more shot on target than us. We were able to get 17 shots off in general. There was a lot to, there was a lot of adversity to overcome. Anthony Taylor, some refereeing, stuff like that, but they never got deflated, right? And this team, I don't know where they got it, but they had confidence today.
Well, we knew that there was likely one or two ways that Chelsea would play the City side. One is we are just going to be an absolutely ridiculous defensive team and make it hard as possible to score. The challenge with that is City seemingly always has a way to chisel through even the most solid of defense and nick the one goal. Or Chelsea were going to go at it and play a competitive game and be willing to defend, be willing to try to attack on the break. And Poch, to his credit, chose door number 2, and door number 2 yielded results. The team was fluid. The team could interchange. Now, there were times also where we were getting sliced through on the opposite side, but you have to weigh up, is it easier or better for this Chelsea side where we're at developmentally to play a game of football and try to make it happen, or try to not make a single mistake and make the best of 1, 2, 3 chances? We went for the open gameplay. We went for expansive play. We looked very, very good, particularly benefiting from Reece James being back in the lineup, a little bit of the sizzle starting between him and Cole Palmer now on the right-hand side. It's getting very exciting. Nick, I think in general, we made the right decision. We put ourselves in a competitive nature with City. And even Poch spoke to this fact beforehand that, like, we get up for these games. The Bridge was up for it. The players were up for it. The managers were up for it. And that, I think, really fed into this performance.
Yeah, and also, like, when we say go punch for punch, it's not just the goals. City pressed the shit out of us, too, right? I mean, this was a press fest. Both teams, out of possession, were right back up the other. And Chelsea played out of the press well today. We were able to string 3 or 4 or 5 passes together to spring one of our forward players or to get our midfielders back involved. And there was a couple of exchanges where Vardiol and Kyle Walker had pressed up to try and pin Chelsea in because that's what they do, and Chelsea were able to easily pass around them, and that's deflating for a team that's trying to press when you're giving up easy opportunities in transition to go and defend against. And so they stopped pressing a little bit more, Brandon. I don't know if you noticed that in the second half. They really eased off the gas, and Chelsea had a little bit of an easier possession game. But it's that little stuff too, where God, we've seen Chelsea just pass laterally the last 4 years to try and break out of that press and to carve any opening. They're taking risks right now, and not all those risks will pay off, obviously. But I thought it was really, really savvy football, and some of the flicks and little passes and stuff like that were excellent today.
Well, if you want to talk about excellence in flicks, how about nutmegs? Alex Trebek, can I get nutmegs for 1,000? Raheem Sterling would take all the points. He's had some really strong performances this season, right? Today was even another level, right? And again, I think, all right, come back and do it again, right? Do it again after the international break. Keep the level going. But he scored, as you put it here, Dan, off 2 shots with a 0.5 XG, probably accumulation.
Correct.
He was willing. He was running until the very, very end. I think there's a couple moments he got caught flat in attack, but he was without a doubt a massive difference. And I do think that we're not going to get this level from him all the time because there was a big edge for him playing against City. And we were huge benefactors of that.
Sure. And you would hope that he would want to show Pep Guardiola what he's missing, that he would want to show Gareth Southgate, who didn't call him up again to the England side, which, look, keep him healthy because he's scoring goals and he's contributing to our attack. I don't want any player who's positively contributing to our attack to go on a needless break and potentially damage themselves coming back for the next run of games. This was the type of performance that we hopefully will continue to see more of through the remainder of the season. It'll be very interesting as post-break, Nkunku is going to come back in. Cole Palmer is riding extremely high as well. Nico Jackson, now 4 goals in the last 2 games. Like, there's just so many good things about the attack, and the fact that we are at 21 goals. We scored 38 of them all of last season. We've only played 12 games now, Nick. Like, this is a really, really good place to be. And it's a credit to Sterling, I think, getting into the right places, being willing to take players on. And, he was dispossessed at a high rate. He was fouled frequently, not always called or cautioned for some of the fouls either. But he stood up. He was accounted for. He was a great contributor in this game.
Yeah, you need it. He's the most senior member of that attack by some distance. He is our most attacking threat in most matches, and in big matches he has not always played well, and I think there aren't many bigger matches than City in the league at home. I know he's had some fits and starts. I think there's been some accusations of him being a flat track bully in the past, i.e. playing well against the teams like Luton Town and League Cup games and stuff like that, but he really showed up today. I think Brandon's point is accurate. Can he replicate, the results will vary, but can you replicate the effort? Can you replicate the dribbling? Can you replicate the willingness to take players on? Can you replicate, the passing lanes that you were creating with your runs off the ball, for example, which I thought were excellent again today? Like, that sort of stuff really matters. And even more than just for him, Brandon, it matters for the other players in the attack, which we will talk about coming up, because, there was some congestion early in the game, right? He was a little bit congested with Nico. Nico was a little congested with Cole. It's just running into each other a little bit. And then the spacing finally happened, right? They were able to give each other a little bit of space. Connor was able to play up a little bit, and things started clicking, and that was really good. And he led that. It was definitely him taking ownership of the ball and passing the ball well and creating space that did a job today for us.
Yeah. Again, like, man alive, the player that we wanted from City. I think, this is peak Raheem, and it is fun to again. I appreciate the final touches, putting the ball in the back of the net, creating stuff. But my word, I think the nutmegs had me off my seat most of the day. He had no issue hitting the wickets.
He went after Kyle Walker too, who I think is genuinely one of the best defenders in the league. He is certainly one of the fastest defenders in the league, still at whatever age he is, mid-30s. Like, that's not an easy task, and he did it with excitement and vigor. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Nico Jackson, a lot of pressure, he's not the guy. He got 2 goals. Another brace, right? He pounced quick.
One goal. One goal.
You said the one? Yeah. It felt like 2, right? With his.
It was so good. It should have counted for 2.
I think that's where I was at. But getting, continuing to score goals at the end of the day, off a deflection was quickest to pounce, like, great. But that's all you need. Strikers just need confidence. They don't care if they're tap-ins. They don't care if they're worldies. Like, getting goals is the most important thing. And I think this is really important because without this, picked up another caution, was definitely involved in a lot of the pushy shovies. He wasn't offering much, but this is all that matters, Dan. Get the goal, get the credit. And he delivered. And so I guess my question for you is, like, as long as he's getting the goal, does the rest of this stuff not really matter? We know he's already had a suspension for yellow card accumulation, getting another one for handsies at this point. How did you sum up his day?
Doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. We have gone how long with people who claim to be a striker who cannot get anywhere near a sniff of a goal when leading this Chelsea line, and now we have a guy. Again, I get it. I will take all the caveats. 3 of the goals came against a Spurs side that was playing the most ridiculous type of football, and when they were already giving up tons of space. You still have to take the shot. You still have to put it in the back of the net. The goal today maybe was the best of the 4 that he scored this week or in the last 7 days, with the fact that it could have gone much worse for him. He could have bungled it. He could have put it off of target. He could have put it right in Ederson's feet. He made the right movement, put it in, got it done. There have been so many disappointments. He's still raw. He's still developing. There are going to be very, very frustrating matches that we watch him play. There are going to be really, really great matches that we watch him play, and everything in between. But the best thing that we can do is persevere with him at the moment, at this point, Nick, because I think in general, Rob, journalism_RP from X, kind of pointing out here, 1 goal off of Havertz's entire season tally in the Premier League last year, now level with Timo Werner's first-year Premier League goal haul, 1/4 of Torres's number of Premier League goals for us in 1/10 of the matches.
This was a really important one for him. And it was a really important one for us, right? It was to get us back level, right, after they had come out swinging in the second half, and we were down 3-2 for most, the early part of the second half. And it was a poacher's finish. It was instinctual. Like, Connor hits kind of it wasn't a great shot, but it had a little bit of dip to it. Ederson couldn't really do a whole lot with it. He couldn't catch it, so he had to kind of palm it out. And instead of waiting, he anticipated that he was going to do it, and he got in front of the defender, and he put it in. I don't care if it would have hit him in the butt cheek and gone in. It still would have been a goal at that point. He was onside. He was clearly onside. It was a super, super important goal for him. And, again, let's have this streakiness go until Boxing Day or whenever Nkunku's back, right? But just keep it going for the rest of the season for all I care. This is a very, very important goal. We need a consecutive streak of games, Brandon, where we get goals from this guy, because the life of a striker is you can play a shit 89 minutes, and if you get a goal in the 90th, you're a hero. So it doesn't matter to me if it was a poacher's finish. I actually like the instinctiveness of it, so very happy for him.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that one as well. Palmer, back-to-back Man of the Match awards, right? Arsenal, now City. That's a pretty good resume. The tomfoolery, the shithousery, says he doesn't practice pens, Nick. What? Is he... Okay. Is she being a little bit cheeky, or does he literally just answering it like he's too dull, too dry?
His City former City teammates will know if he does or not, but if he really doesn't, then he just has the biggest set of balls I've ever seen, because it's like there couldn't have been a more high pressure situation. There couldn't have been more of our hopes and dreams relying on that penalty going in, and it was brilliant. I mean, he was never missing it. He hasn't, I think he came close to maybe missing the one at Spurs, but he's scored 4 penalties. They've all been really important goals, and 3 of the 4 have come against really big teams. So, or in big matches, I should say. Spurs aren't a big team, but this is a guy that is just he looks like he's not thinking about it. That's like the greatest compliment, Dan, I could give him. Is he's not thinking about the moment. He's not thinking about what this means for his legacy. He's not thinking about where his next goal is going to come from. He is just right there in the moment, hyper focused on the next ball he's going to kick. And I can't appreciate that more than what I am right now.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't go into the fact that in the 60th minute, when he carried the ball into the box and basically shot it right at Ederson, that he definitely, there are not a lot of people in this game who should have had 2 goals. He, without question, I think is going to be looking back at that part of the tape and saying, I should have gotten that one. I should have gotten the second goal.
Win the penalty.
Yeah.
He was already fouled.
Well, look, yeah, if he had been fouled, if he had gone down to the ground, I think it would have been a very stonewall penalty in that situation. I mean, credit for him trying to stay up and put it in and have the flashy finish. This, again, another really strong performance. I love the way that he continues to understand the awareness of where other players are. Like, I think that's maybe a little underrated part of the game, where he is pressing forward, but has enough understanding to say, I don't have enough people in front of me to make it worth it to try to press this forward, to try to thread the needle. I'm going to do my kind of quick little feint and turn, recycle, get it to someone, and then burst forward to try to give someone another option to get the ball back to me, Brandon, and really get a better attack going. Like his ability to read the game and understand where he is relative to other players is very, very good.
He definitely forced it a little bit today. I think in most of the matches he plays on instinct. I think he was caught up in the whole, it's Man City, it's where I came from. So I was glad to see him kind of shed that a little bit towards the end, but especially in the beginning, too many touches. Do I shoot? Do I pass? But again, he's 21. Like, I'm assuming he came through their academy. Like, that's a lot for him. And the quotes are coming out before the match that, Pep was like, hey, Riyad Mahrez left. You have a big opportunity. He was like, nah, I'm not going to play, so I'm going to Chelsea. It's a good move. He's playing a ton. He's become pivotal. Like, a good move for him in this situation. So it's nice he doesn't have to sit behind Akanji and in Grealish, and whether it's Silva or
Doku
or whoever. Yeah.
Akanji's
the defender. That's right.
It would have been real tough if he was sitting behind Akanji,
Yeah, a little Conte wingback style.
That would be a Pep craziness, like next like sixth dimension kind of thought.
Yeah. But again, he's just racking it up. So like, at this point we're just going, okay, how high is too high for Cole? Like, that's really where we're at with him, which is awesome.
He's changed our whole attack, though. I mean, you think about the goals that we're scoring now. You think about some of the passes that we're playing forward. We think about where he is in this team. It is absurdly impressive. And when he gets into that number 10 and he's able to kind of mess around in the middle of the park, there's some special stuff that can happen there.
Without a doubt. Last shot, we just have that Jackson and Cole Palmer are in the SofaScore Team of the Week. So, yeah, whatever, right? Just add the accolades when we can. So we're going to take a last ad break. But when we get back, plenty more to discuss from this match because we only touched on the super positive players. All right, thank you to sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, I'm excited to kick this one off, Nick, because people are slating Disasi in this one. I need to know if I missed it. I see his sofa score rating wasn't very good. It was 6.3, but a lot of people really targeting him. I thought this was like probably one of the best matches he's played as far as like getting put in tough positions. He seemed like he never really lost his marker. I don't know. Like, what did you make of it?
I'm right there with you. I actually thought this was his best match in a Chelsea shirt. I think he probably got downgraded on the total number of goals that we conceded as a defender. And like, like that is what it is. You kind of win and lose as a defense in those moments. So I guess I understand that. But from a positional sense, like he was really pivotal on that side. He never let Doku, the rare moments where Doku was able to kind of drive to the touchline, he was never able to, do anything positionally. He was really good on crosses. He never lost his man there. I thought in general, really dominant in the air, really, decent passing out of the back. Like this was, a great performance. And then I think he is an enforcer in tough moments. And I think, toward the end of the game when he bodied Kyle Walker, like I said earlier, there aren't many guys in the league who can do that. Kyle's a tough customer. He is a really good player in his own right, but Disasi is a big lad and was not going to be backed down out of that moment very easily. And it's been a while since we've had one of those guys who's able to square someone up and let them know that is going to persist no further. So I was pleased with his performance. I really liked it. And I thought that, the defensive errors that did happen were largely not on him.
I mean, they were collective, right? I mean, ultimately, when you're going up against Erling Haaland plus anyone in attack, like you have drawn a very, very difficult assignment. You're going up against the literal Terminator, and you are a human. and that is just a very, very uncomfortable maybe feeling for someone, particularly their first time to be going up against Erling Haaland and trying to figure out exactly how to work that. I mean, between Disasi and Silva, I think in general, they forced Haaland into making difficult shots. I mean, the one save that, Sanchez was forced into making, were, kind of playing Haaland out a little bit, not giving him a very clear shot on target. And there were other moments where we did get sliced a little bit, though, on the opposite side of that. And so I don't think it was oh my gosh, the best game he's ever played. But I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. Because, again, this City side is really, really fucking good. They are a really good football team.
I honestly think that out of the three, I thought the midfield struggled today. I thought the attack, I know we got 3 goals, but I thought the defense, even though we scored 3, was the best unit. I mean, I just thought that they dealt so well with one of the best attacks in the world, and it was wave after wave. And I thought that even the midfield, it wasn't their best day, and so it was really all up to those 4 guys to deal with everything. And I thought they did a really good job, which we can touch on a little bit. Reece James pocketed Doku. I mean, what an amazing day. I think there's one time he kind of got past him and early, didn't happen again. Shut down defense.
What I like too is that we are very clearly making sure that he is not getting overworked either. And we subbed in Gusto as well to make sure that Reece got an opportunity to not have to go the full game at full pace to make it happen. So that was really nice. Now, he probably scores the Gusto chance. So that was, just kind of an odd sliding doors moment. But on the end of it, I would rather have Reece James healthy for the entirety of the season and take a single point off City than win this game and lose Reece James potentially for another 3-4 month spell. That is just not what happens. But I think speaking to the fact that James really had to one-on-one Doku for the majority of the game, I think it just proved that he is so elite, Nick. He is absolutely on his day. Not only number 1 typically in the MPET rankings, but also just number 1 in that right back position in world football.
Yeah, someone tweeted out, it was Doku was like when Zaha would go on a stretch of games where he'd score like 10 in 10 straight games or whatever, or dribble everybody, and then he'd play Reece James and get 0.0 out of 10. That was kind of how it felt today. Doku had been running the league the last few weeks, and he's been all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's a tricky player. He's a really good player. I like Doku a lot, but just he ran into a brick wall today and couldn't do anything. And neither could Grealish, to be fair. Just didn't really have it.
I was a little bit surprised, Nick, that Cucurella ended up playing 80 minutes on a caution, just knowing the way he is. There was one time towards the end of the match, he came flying in to try to get it, and he missed ball and guy, thankfully.
Oh, man.
But because that's not his game. His game is chaos. His game is frantic. But he dealt with it, especially since Raheem, if you look at the average position, was all the way on the other side of the pitch the entire time. Like, he was on an island.
He was on a huge island. His yellow card was absolute horse shit. That was never a penalty. Holland fouls him first, and then he gets him back, but there's no way that should have been given. There's no way it's a freaking yellow card. So the fact that he played as long as he did on a yellow was absolutely outrageous. I thought that he was great today. He genuinely has surprised me so much this season. These last, call them 6, 7, 8 matches, he has just been locked down. And yes, when you give up 4 goals, it's difficult to say that, but you've seen City's players, especially Foden, who is a tricky player, eat up some of the best left backs in the Premier League. It didn't happen today. Foden barely had a sniff, and I thought that, outside of maybe a little bit of marking there with Holland, it was a pretty good day for Cucurella.
Glad to see that we have a little bit of shout out for Sanchez with the strong wrists. Did well, made a lot of saves. Like I said, thankfully, City weren't peak finishing, but he stepped up and did what he needed to, which I think is again, we're just checking boxes as we go down the line. Dan, though, Connor
Oh my
Gurr.
God.
I don't get it.
Conager.
Conager.
Get
Yep.
it? Because that's the only way Nick calls him anymore.
Yeah, you ain't gonna let me take this one? This is my guy.
We
Dude,
got to pass the ball.
I resurfaced a tweet from like 2022 where I was like, oh yeah, he's going to come back from his Crystal Palace loan and he's going to be a great midfielder for us. Like, again, we've all been on this train. This show has been on the Conor Gallagher Express. And look, the Express maybe didn't ride full steam into Stamford Bridge, but boy, oh boy, it has picked up steam and it is flying now. It might even be a bullet train at this point. I don't know. What a performance. He has continued to look and be the part of the player who costs the most out of our midfield 3 at the moment. And he is the one who has graduated from Cobham, has gone on these fantastic loans, and is assisting. This was a knock, right? Conor Gallagher is not a creative player. Oh, wait, I'm assisting goals. I ultimately made the shot that rebounded that Nico Jackson scored off of too, which doesn't necessarily count. It's like he is contributing that way. He's also absolutely able to go the full 90 and beyond in every single match. Like, he has the N'Golo Kante style energy, Nick, where you almost feel like, how does he have the stamina to be able to offer this for as long as he does? And I mean, he's kind of getting a little bit of the, we kind of knew last season, right? Like, he was a bit of a caution target, like magnet. And like, he's also wising up. And against the Manchester City side, like, he played the foil of like, I'm going to foul you. I'm going to absolutely hound you. And you are going to hate playing against me. The top comment in the Manchester City Reddit about this match was how they hated Conor Gallagher. It's like, it was the number one comment after the match was that it was all about him.
Print it out, put it on the wall. I mean, it was an absolutely outrageous performance. Watching Conor Gallagher tells me if you know football or not. If you're a FIFA merchant, you're worried about FIFA scores or you whatever, you probably don't appreciate his game. But I thought that he was a captain on the field. Obviously, Reece wore the armband while he was on there, but he finished out the game as captain. The selfless pressing, the selfless tracking back, the selfless tackles, the basically setting everybody else up for success in that front three was absolutely outrageous. And if you've watched City before, you know they are an unpredictable passing unit. They can hit long diagonals, they can tiki-taka, they can do kind of chips over the midfield. They have it all. But what they really don't like is when you pressure their center backs so that they can't make the easy first pass before it goes out to everybody else. Their center backs aren't immaculate passers. And he was all over them today. And I know that's a small thing, and it's not going to sound like, oh, the sexiest thing in the world, like the assist was or whatever. But they didn't set up in the same way. They weren't able to start their attack the same way. And I have to imagine that was a tactical choice by Pochettino to have him do that. But Brandon, to me, it's the little shit like that why he is the player of the season right now, unquestionable player of the season right now. Cole Palmer edging his way up in the race, but it is an absolutely immaculate performance. He was my man of the match.
Gotta love it. Talking about the heart and the energy in which he plays with is unmatched. And again, like those Cobham roots, it's like they matter, which I think they are. I think the last big one that we have here is really about Poch, right?
Say it. Ask the question.
Well, I know a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, because I'm giving them credence when they don't deserve it. You know, I've talked about Poch out. Remember, like back, hey, if he loses this next match, nonsense. All you had to do is have some patience. The underlying stats were there. The things, you know, you could see it growing. And now, smart people, like our listeners and us, are saying, hey, is Poch Chelsea? You think that he's embedded himself? I think we're a little bit split, so I'm interested to hear this. Dan, obviously, you're all in on this, right? You are Poch is Chelsea.
Today was the day. Today was the day that Pochettino, for everything he said in preseason about setting the stage, about the standards, about Chelsea's expectation is to go out and win, and not just win things, but win trophies. We had a lot of the planning, the preparation, and Pochettino himself has gone through a lot of adversity with this side. The amount of injuries, the injuries to key positions, the inability to get any luck in a lot of series of games. You could argue that we should have won the first match of the season against Liverpool, and boy, oh boy, how different does the narrative change for Pochettino if that is the way he starts his Chelsea tenure. Giving it to Taylor, the celebrations on the sideline, the setup for the game, the way that we stuck it to City and were competitive, not passive, not reactive, but going into it. To me, Nick, it finally feels like, and I know you said it was earlier in the week, I think this was the day that Pochettino, the Spurs DNA is gone. It's removed from the symbiote is removed from the host. He is now Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, the last two, I thought it was against Spurs just because that was the first win that we had against the top six side, and I think that makes a huge amount of difference in this season, right? If the game goes the other way or we only get a draw or whatever, the narrative still would have remained. So I think just getting that narrative out of the club was super important. But in either event, whichever match you think he became quote unquote proper Chelsea, I saw more fire. I think against Brentford, he was awfully stoic, arms crossed on the sideline, couldn't really be bothered. These two matches, he was kicking every ball. And I think that makes a huge difference. I also think the mentality of the group is starting to evolve with him, right? The more training they get and all this sort of stuff, like they have clearly started games shot out of a cannon. And I appreciate that. Why wait to get hit in the mouth? Go hit him. That is a huge, huge thing. So for whatever it was, Brandon, I don't care which game you nail down. For me, this is a guy who is warming up to the Chelsea faithful, and his players are paying off his patience with them.
I like everything that has been said. The only thing you could argue is that Poch is just a top manager, knows the level, knows what to say, knows how to manage. I don't know if I'm all in on the Poch's Chelsea yet, but I tell you what, he's definitely on that path, right? I think it's also too soon to really feel like he's completely embedded into like the DNA of the club, but winning speeds all of that up, right? These results speeds that up, and I'm excited to see this continue. And I don't think you're wrong, Dan, right, for saying he is.
Sure.
I'm still holding out a little bit, want to see more, because, this is also what I expect out of a top manager. So I want to hold managers to a high level as well, because we've struggled a little bit recently. You could say Pep thinks Poch is pretty damn good. Said after the match, Liverpool couldn't win. They were much, much better than Arsenal. Thanks,
Love
Pep.
it.
Thanks, Pep. High five. Appreciate that. I think you talked a little bit about quotes and things like that, Dan, as well. So feel free. I know he talked a lot about, he loves character, loves mentality, right? These types of things. Poch had some strong words, I think, after the match.
I like that he mentioned that he thinks we deserve much more to be in the top 6 and the top 4. I don't know, because of performance, that sometimes things happen with a young team. Sometimes you concede, or you don't have the patience to build and to score. Not from the beginning. You could score at the end and win games, and that happens. And so I like that he's setting the stage for where this team is growing, the understanding that it is a young team, the understanding that it is going to evolve, particularly when he mentioned the fact that Chelsea was asked the question that we came from behind 3 times in this match, which I can't count the amount of times we've come from behind from like 1 time over the past 1 to 2 seasons. And he said they showed character, they showed mentality, they showed that with the tools against a team like Manchester City, that we can go for the goal and dominate, to have the capacity to create chances. I think it's really important to today. I think, like I told you on Monday, maybe it's a starting point to build our confidence and to believe more the way that we were working. I think today is now to translate in the way that we are going to complete in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, obviously, right? The man loves emotion. The man loves the ability to spark passion and excitement. And obviously, things are just settling right now. Things are in a good spot, so there's no sense to complain and pick shit apart. I said this after Spurs. Was it perfect? No. Who cares? Take the victory, take the moral, take the positives, get to the training ground. And I would say in a short week, they've definitely put together a much more comprehensive game plan, I think, Nick, in this one as well. So again, it's like credit to Poch and the staff for continuously, week by week, pushing this team forward.
Yeah, it just sucks there's an international break now.
Always.
I mean, it's just when you feel like you get a hit of momentum, it's like, God, like we have to take another break. But I'm really excited to see what this team does coming back from that break, because then we'll have a couple months of almost uninterrupted football. Good Lord. And the way that you're able to build, maybe get some key players back from injury, wink, and see how the team evolves. But this, we were worried about this stretch, right? I think to kind of close my point here, it's a brutal stretch. We're going to play a lot of top teams in the next couple of months, and so far so good in terms of coming out unscathed. So if Chelsea are able to do a job here and get through this stretch with some points and some momentum, look out.
What's odd is that we're only playing 3 matches this month because of the international break. Pochettino could very well be on the short list if we get a result versus Newcastle for manager of the month. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Fun things to take into consideration there, huh? All right, let's see. Dan of the match. If it's a win, we're in. What was the word?
Well, look, the people were split. I did throw Pochettino in there too. I had to give the man his ups for the post-match celebration that he got into. But it was Raheem Sterling with 37% running away with it. Pochettino in second place with 27%. Cole Palmer with 23%. And Conor Gallagher with 14%. Conagher, as we all know and love him here.
I tell you what, I saw the Poch, and I wasn't sure. Nick, yay, nay?
I think Dan reads a lot into the reactions of it, but I do think it's weird that Cole and Connor didn't get more than the manager. So interesting on that one. Connor was mine, but I could have picked either one of the others as well.
Sterling was Skies, and the Premier League's was Palmer. So
Mm-hmm.
it did. There was a lot of split decisions as to who the man of the match was, and I think that just means that we had a really good performance. So
Nice to have options, you know?
yeah.
What did Chelsea have? I probably won't find this in time. Nick, favorite result from the weekend, and why was it Spurs losing?
I mean,
We broke them.
they're back.
Wow.
No, and they never left.
Yeah,
They
well,
were just hiding.
they had a bit of a hiatus at the start of the season. If you have to float Eric Dyer back there for a period of months, it's not going to go well, and it didn't. They lost the Wolves 2-1, 90th minute plus added time. Losers, we'll call them losers there. That's great. And look, it just warms, like if that's the first result of the weekend, it just warms you up. It just makes you feel like perhaps the Chelsea weekend is going to be on the good foot.
Yeah, there were some other interesting results, I'd say, but just real quick, Arsenal over Burnley 3-1. Everton surprising me, at least, and beating Palace 3-2. United barely beating Luton 1-0, which is a moral victory, I think, for the rest of us. Bournemouth beating Newcastle 2-0. Again,
That
we'll
was the
talk
best
on
result
them.
for us.
Yep.
Best result for us.
We'll look at them here in a second. Villa 3, Fulham 1, Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1, Liverpool.
The Brighton result is big too, because like that is a, like, you look at the table coming up, like they're right there for us now.
Absolutely. Picking up the red card. Liverpool 3, Brentford 0, West Ham 3, Forest 2, and then obviously Chelsea City played. A lot shook down, but Dan, table-wise, again, only in 10th, right? We've got some room to grow, but we're definitely not going backwards, which, hey, positive silver lining. So run us through some of the highlights here.
Well, Manchester City still on top on 28 points, but it gets... they're not ahead. They're not running away with this thing. Liverpool and Arsenal, second and third, both on 27 points. It's fourth place for the Tottenham, receding to their level at 26 points. Aston Villa, fifth on 25 points. And then it's Man United. Somehow, just absolutely shithousing their way. They are the shithouse team of the table with 21 points and finding themselves in sixth place. Newcastle on 20 points now in seventh place. Brighton
Don't forget United are a -3 goal difference. They're the only team in like the top half of the table minus West Ham that are at a negative goal difference.
Only team not to draw this season as well. So that's another fun little fact about them. We have Brighton, who's in 8th on 19 points, 9th place, West Ham in 17th, and then Chelsea at 10th on 16 points. So we're there. We're going to get some opportunities here to make some jumps happen.
I mean, you look at the table, we're 3 points off 8th. We're 5 points off 6th. Then it jumps up to 9 points. So I think the mission over the next 2 months is to get thereabouts on points, right? What your position on your table will vary, right? But if you're there or thereabouts, if you get into like, striking distance of 6th or 5th, heading into February, it's all there for you. If you're still stuck down in 10th, not quite on the pace of points, you basically have to win out through the end of the year to get up there. And that's just, again, it's really hard to do. So
Nick, I have good news for you. I have great news for you.
Do you?
We are playing 7th, we are playing 8th, and we are playing 6th over our next 3 league matches. So the opportunity to take 3 and negate 3, very, 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 very possible.
Well, and you think too, Newcastle, who Ollie is keen to call out, is in real trouble right now because of injuries.
I'm in danger.
Yeah, they have slidden a little bit. Champions League not going that well for them. They found out the hard way that it's a tough competition to be in, and they have lost a ton of players to injury. Trippier going over to the fans after and basically scolding them for being upset. A little wobble there, just a tiny bit of wobble would be really, really great for Chelsea to capitalize on. If you're able to get up to 19 points, heading into what is it, the Brighton game after that? Yeah, I mean that's huge.
Yeah. And again, obviously, we all know Newcastle have been absolutely struck with injuries. So I'd almost crowdfund it to push that game up. But I think we'll come back
Play
stronger
it tomorrow,
than they
baby.
will. Yeah.
Let's go. Come on.
I do think we'll come back stronger than they will after the break, which is really just a good place to be. So let's start the run, right? A couple good results against some really top teams. Now we can continue to focus on Newcastle, international break, getting some key players back with fitness, especially obviously everyone's excited about Nkunku. I think that's where I wrap this one, is that we're doing this without Nkunku. Obviously, Lavia would give depth in a critical area where we need it. We're still missing Ben Chilwell. Reece James isn't fully fit. Some of our key players, right, are not even 100%. We're able to hit these results. I think that is awesome, and it's exciting, and it's key. So, yeah, I'm hyped. I know it's a 4-4 draw. I know we conceded a lot of goals. I know, but this is definitely a continuing step in the right direction.
Broya getting a clutch penalty win at the end too.
Oh, yeah.
Getting him back fit would be huge.
I said it in all the chats. I put it on Twitter. You do not sleep on him. For that to be some of his first touches was unbelievable. So, anyways, much more content coming at you this week. Super excited to still be riding the wave high with all of you out there. Again, go check us out on Discord. Go check us out on YouTube. Would really appreciate it. You might even like it. So anyways, until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.